Hi, my name is Shay. We're here with our society, and today's story is on young African Americans here in Southern California. We have a group of gentlemen here who are college students, and we're going to have a discussion. So we hope you enjoy today's forum on young African Americans here in Southern California. All right, we're going to go around the room and we're going to introduce each of the gentlemen.
David.
You can start with your first name and tell them what school you go to and give them a background about yourself.
Okay, well, my name is David. I go to the University of California, Riverside. Let me see. I was born in Inglewood. I moved to San Diego when I was like 4 years old, and I pretty much grew up out there. When I was 13, I came back to the Empire. So I kind of know this area a little bit. Not this area, forgive me. I mean the school in Riverside.
Good. What about you?
Hello, my name is Zim Duru. I go to the University of California, Riverside. I'm a third-year neuroscience major. I was born in Bellflower, California, and then I moved to Brea, and I kind of moved around a lot, but now I'm stationed in Diamond Bar, California, and but I go to school and reside in an apartment in Riverside as well.
Good.
Hello, my name is John Thomas. I'm a fourth-year standing economics major. I was born in Los Angeles, California, and I moved all over Southern California for a majority of my life. So I'm a big nomad, but I lived a lot of my life in Pasadena, California.
My name is Jabril Bubakar. I'm 20 years old. I attend the University of California at Riverside. I'm a psychology major. I was born in Berkeley, California. I was raised in Oakland until I was 9 years old. That's pretty much it.
My name is Chima Ola'olua. I was born in Atlanta, Georgia. I moved to New York, and then after I was raised in Riverside, I went to King, and now I go to University of California, Riverside.
My name is Kwame. I was born and raised in Oakland, California. I go to UC Riverside.
Okay, and we're going to have one gentleman to share with us a statement, and we're going to share with you viewers so you can get a sense of what the state of mind that's needed for these gentlemen to be successful in their future.
It's all in the state of mind. If you think you are beaten, you are. If you think you dare not, you don't. If you think you'd like to win, but you can't, it's almost a cinch you won't. If you think you'll lose, you've lost. For out in the world, you'll find success begins with the fellow's will. It's all in the state of mind. For many a race is lost, ere even a race is won, and many a coward fails, ere even his work's begun. Think big, and your deeds will grow. Think small, and you fall behind. Think that you can, and you will. It's all in the state of mind. If you think you're outclassed, you are. You've got to think high to rise. You've got to be sure of yourself before you can even win a prize. Life's battle doesn't always go to the stronger or faster man, but sooner or later, the man who wins is the fellow who thinks he can.
Good. Well, we're going to open up the show tonight, and I'm going to be doing a narrative from behind the scene so we can have enough room for all of the gentlemen here tonight to kind of share their thoughts and their opinions about the Michael Brown incident that occurred in Ferguson, St. Louis. So we're going to start with David. And David, why don't you give the audience a sense of what your experience is as a young African American male and what your thoughts are on the incident in Ferguson, Missouri.
Well, as a young black male, I've honestly seen the police quite a few times in my life. Mostly sometimes just being in the car with my older brothers and just them getting pulled over for maybe certain cars they were driving or something like that. But I've seen encounters with the police quite often. My particular intake on the Mike Brown incident, however, what I see is that we can't look at this as like a black issue, but we have to look at this as a human being issue. We have to see that a human died, not just a black man, because we don't want only black people to be the ones caring about this. We need the human race as a whole to see that this is a human being who got killed. And that's my take on it.
Well, good. How about you?
Personally, I have had my I wouldn't want to say run-ins with the police, but I have had an instance where I was profiled by the police racially because I fit the profile of someone that they happened to be looking for the same night. But basically, I got pulled over and I was taken out of my car and I was just sitting on the sidewalk as they searched my car. And I just felt like, it had never happened to me before. It's only happened to me once in my life, but it kind of just like it spooked me a little, only because I felt like they didn't have any right to do this to me because I hadn't done nothing wrong. Excuse me. And just to see like how a police encounter that started off so minute and insignificant could turn into something so brutal and something that ended so maliciously. It just kind of blows my mind because like that could have been any one of us that's ever had an encounter with the police. So just to think that we have these encounters and they seem to be so minute and we walk away with them. We just need to be more aware that there are some people that aren't lucky enough to walk away from these encounters with their lives.
And so what is your take on the Michael Brown incident as it relates to today's feelings, though, globally?
My take personally on the Mike Brown case is just I was kind of appalled at the witness accounts and how I guess brutally that this 18-year-old's life was taken away from him before he even had a chance to really fulfill his meaning. He wouldn't have known what this meaning was, but he was nowhere near finding out what this meaning was when his life was taken from him for walking down the street. And it was also stated in the police report from the chief that the police officer that pulled him over that day, or the police officer that shot and killed him, had no prior knowledge of the alleged stealing of the cigarillos in the liquor store earlier that day. So my take, really, just to finalize, is just that mass, like a brutal killing like that should not be taken lightly, ever. That is, it was police officers should be taught an easier way to put someone into submission, as opposed to shooting this man, 18-year-old, like 6 times in the chest, in the upper arm, in the head area. It just makes no sense to me as to why someone would need to use that brutal force. But that's my take personally.
Good.
You can do me last.
How about you, John?
You can do me last.
I can do you last. Okay, we're gonna move on.
Personally, I've had my experiences with police officers that are quite negative. A few months ago, actually, I was walking home. It was late at night. Had on a black hoodie, and a police officer passed me up. No one else was on the road. It was just me. No one else was on the sidewalk. It was just me. And he passed me and proceeded to stop and then go in reverse. And he rolled his window down. And he asked me, "Where am I going?" And out of fear, I just didn't answer him. I continued to walk. So he continued to back up. And he said, "Answer me." And I said, "I'm going home." And he said, "Have you ever been arrested?" I said, "No." He said, "Woo-hoo! Never been arrested. Are you on parole?" I said, "No, I've never been arrested. How can I be on parole?" He said, okay, are you on probation? I said, no. He was like, okay, all right. And he left. But my heart was beating. Like, I was scared, I'm not gonna lie. Because why would a police officer start being happy that I've never been arrested? Why would he react that way? Why would he stop me and question me? He could have killed me. I don't know what he wanted from me. You know, I could be Trayvon Martin. I could be Mike Brown. So, you know, he could have said that I took my phone out and pretended that it was a gun and pointed it at him, and he could have just shot me right there. I don't know what his motives were, because in today's society, the people that are supposed to be protecting us are killing us, and this has been going on since the 1960s. The police have been killing people for decades, before the 1960s actually, and it's just a continuing cycle that's never actually stopped. And I feel like the police have never been a force that were meant to protect us. And by us, I mean minorities.
So what are your thoughts as a result of the Michael Brown incident that will shed light on today in your future? What are your thoughts there?
On the Mike Brown incident, I feel like it was very unjust because, first of all, we have conflicting reports in the news about the police motives. One report said that the police officer that shot him had knowledge of Mike Brown's robbery. So a little bit of background, Mike Brown incident happened about 2 weeks ago now. So they released a video of him stealing from the store. That video has no sound. It's only a clip with 2 different angles of him, you know, getting into a slight altercation with the cashier, and then him walking out of the store. And then shortly after that, he was gunned down by the police, shot 6 or 8 times. So just the release of that video in itself proves that the police are trying to, or the media, I don't want to say the police because I don't know what forces are doing this. The media is trying to slander his name. This man is dead, but they're releasing a video of him stealing cigars. They're not releasing a video of him getting shot. They're releasing a video of him stealing. So it's like, why are they trying to slander him? If this was a white man being killed, would they be doing this? Would they be saying, oh, he was a stealer? No. So I just feel like it's completely inhumane, and there's no reason why we should be getting killed by police. They have tasers. That's what a taser is for, to subdue. If the police officer really wanted to protect himself, he could have tased Mike Brown. But no, he wanted to kill that man, and that was murder, in my opinion. And it's bigger than Mike Brown. There's countless cases. There's the Oscar Grants, there's the Trayvon Martins, and countless other cases that go undocumented and unheard of that we would never know about because mass media does not want us to know about them. So we have to get our own knowledge about how to deal with the police officers, and we have to know our rights, our constitutional rights, because if you don't know your rights, you're going to get taken advantage of, because the police know your rights, but do you know your rights?
Yeah. So we're going to move on and hear from the next gentleman. Okay.
My encounters with the police are pretty limited in the sense of I haven't really been in any serious encounters, but still, with just like being pulled over and stuff, there's always that little fear that you have. It's not even a little fear, it's a genuine fear of you don't know what they're going to do or how rational or irrational the officer that you're dealing with is. And they could be irrational to the point where they're just looking for an excuse to take you out or shoot you or do anything to you, and that's kind of ridiculous to think that, especially minorities, to think that these people are supposed to protect you and are supposed to be upholding the law, but you are genuinely fearful when you're confronted by them, even if it's something as harmless as speeding. You're fearful for your life. So that's that. As far as the Mike Brown situation goes, I think it once again shows how irrational officers can be, shooting an unarmed teenager. And granted, he was big or whatever. Putting in 6 to 8 bullets in an unarmed teenager, I don't see any way you can justify that, saying that anything, he went for your gun or there's just no justification for that. It's just irrational behavior by people who have the most power. And that's the way I see it.
And so have you personally experienced any interaction with a law enforcement agency where you felt either threatened or an abuse of the authority?
I mean, I remember I got pulled over once, and then the officer had his hand on his gun and was screaming at me to keep my hands on the wheel when my hands were on the wheel. But as far as any serious altercations outside of that, I mean, I've been driving and doing nothing wrong, and the officers flashed the lights at my car just because I have my friends in it. But besides that, no, nothing really serious to any big magnitude.
Okay. Then going down to the next young man.
Yeah, let me think of the one after John.
So which one we gonna go to?
Go to John.
You wanna go to John? Okay, John, we're gonna move back to you. We're gonna save the best for last, and then second best for second last. How's that?
That's fun. Me personally, I've had multiple encounters with the police, not only in Los Angeles, but in Pasadena and Lancaster, San Diego, and Ohio. You can name it. House has been raided before. Guns pointed at me and my mother. Interrogated, all of the above. So I've seen the wit that police officers can use on a young African American that isn't knowledgeable of what's going on around them. And as far as Michael Brown, there's been excuses of him stealing and things like that. But there's a similar case. If you the Los Angeles riots, the lady, a 15-year-old girl, she stole some orange juice, and she was shot over that. And it's really what is worth dying for is $1 orange juice worth dying for, some cigarettes worth dying for, whatever you want to call it, is worth dying for. Before you try and justify him as being a thief for the murder, first, what he stole, even if he did steal, is that justifiable? As far as the police, and I believe that the police in the U.S. have adopted this culture that it's okay for the authority to abuse it against minorities. If you go back in time, you have to look at what police derive from. You have KKK members that were police officers, mayors, big political figures and people of authority that at its root were KKK members. And it's not a coincidence, causation, and it's not a correlation and causation. It's something that's just there. You have to look at it face to face.
So what do you think, John, in light of the Michael Brown incident, that will be the development of the future? What do you think?
It's hard to say that this one incident will cause a turning point because we had incidents like this before. You can go back to Emmett Till. You can go back to here in Pasadena. One of my close friends, Kendrick McDade, he died from police officer, dying from gunshot from police officer. So it's not just something that is seen in media. It's something that just happened in our backyard. A close friend of mine, actually. So just the fact that this one Michael Brown situation occurred, you have to look at the multiple Michael Brown situations that occurred in the past. Was anything changed then? So what will make you think something will change now? It takes a higher agenda for there to be real change to occur.
Okay, good. Now we've saved the best for last. We're gonna go ahead and give his interview, and then we're gonna do a slight roundtable with a few questions so we can share with the viewers really how passionate you gentlemen are about the state of affairs and the plight that your generation has been assigned to move forward in the future. So we're going to go to the last speaker and get his story of being exposed to the law enforcement agency and his thoughts on the Michael Brown. So why don't you share with us some of your personal experience, if any, and then your thoughts on the Michael Brown incident.
Not much to say, but we already know that this has been going on. We already know it's been happening. History always gonna keep record of that. And it's a messed up world that we lived in. I'll just wrap my answer up with that.
And how do you feel that the Michael Brown incident is going to affect society or your future as a young African American male?
This is gonna be two ways. It's either something's gonna happen or it's just gonna have to go down in the record books again.
Okay. I like your very short and sweet answers. So what we're going to do is, gentlemen, what I like to do is just kind of go over a round table and get your input. So feel free to kind of jump in, and that way we can move this segment along and show the viewers really how passionate you guys are. Because if you do not demonstrate to the public what you're passionate about this incident, more than likely they're going to feel that if it's not important to you, why should it be important to them? And when I mean them, I mean just society as a whole. So the first thing that I'd like to ask you gentlemen is, as a result of your age, which the age group tonight here is between 19 and 22, what do you feel will be the first lesson that if you were fathers now, you would tell your son who was in your age group right now? What would be the things you would tell your sons as it relates to being mindful of today's plight of African American males? So why don't we just jump in and someone open up, and what would you share with them? David, what you got?
I guess I would say, look, son, this is the world we are currently growing up in. It's been like this, and we haven't had the courage to move past stagnancy and to fix this problem since the 1960s. It's like they took out our greatest leaders, and then it's like right after the Black Panthers quit or were just infiltrated, it's like black men have been stagnant as a collective whole. It's like I just feel like, all right, I'm sorry, you have to come back to me.
Okay, well that's good. What about anybody else? I mean, the reason why the question I hope you gentlemen find will be relevant is because you will be in this position as fathers. And if you were to have sons and you see what you're experiencing in your era at this point, what do you think you would share with them so you can take what you're experiencing now at your age and share with them how to be prepared? I'm sure there's something that you would want to convey to your sons with today's challenges.
It would be to stay on your toes. That's the most important. W.E.B. Du Bois had double consciousness. I don't know if anybody's familiar with that. Basically, your mindset when you're around other African Americans and your mindset when you're around other ethnicities and their perception of you. You have to look around your surroundings and the environment you're in, and to stand your toes based off of that environment.
So gentlemen, I got a couple of more questions and then we'll wind this segment down. And it's been a long day, but I hopefully you'll find that this discussion will be very instrumental in your future. One is, what are your thoughts as to reforming the laws to address the various authority, or I should say abuse of authority that we see with law enforcement agencies? What are you guys' thoughts on that?
First thing to do is to hit the pocketbooks. The best way to make somebody do something, cause some change things, alter it, is to hit their pocketbooks. Once you're doing that, then you have a say-so. Without that, you don't have a voice. You can't say anything about what they're doing as long as they're making profit. That's what they care about. But once you hit that pocketbook, then they're forced to change and take you into consideration.
So who else have a comment that they'd like to share with what are the possible reforms that are possible in the future, or you think should become law to help add value to prevent these type of incidents in the future?
In the future, like nowadays, there are some states that have it in action that certain police officers, like on patrol, have to wear a video camera as part of their uniform or on their person, so as to be documented and see what police officers do every day when they're doing their rounds on duty, and to make sure they're not abusing their power or doing anything to that nature. But personally, with these video cameras, I feel like the same things are just gonna keep happening if the change cannot come from within where the problem is starting. If the problem is starting in the police department and the officers abusing power, if the change comes from within the police department, they're just gonna find another way around it. The same way that they have found a way around the use of the tasers, their batons, their pepper spray, their tear gas, all of these things. They're just gonna find a way to get around the fact that they're wearing a video camera. And I feel like the real change is gonna come until